Hello my fellow car modelers, and how are you doing today? I am sure that you all have noticed that over the past few weeks there was a particular series that I had been working on over the past couple of years, an adventure in building a model car, where we were building the Monogram 66 Malibu Flip Nose. If you are watching this, obviously I have returned the series, and each episode is now going to have this little foreword in it, explaining why it was gone and why I'm doing the series, and I'm going to bring it back. The reason why is that I don't think many of you understood why I was doing that series and what the purpose of this channel is. When I started this channel, I did not want to be like all the others. Not saying that they're bad. I wanted to do something different. I was not going to be a build channel. I will do builds, but I'm not going to be a build channel. I wanted to be a model car hobby information channel and tip channel. So the whole idea, as was stated in the very first episode of An Adventure of Building a Model Car, was the reason behind the series was to just have a kit that I would work on through time to use as doing tips. So if you look at the episodes, they're not so much about building that particular model. It's about showing you tips in building a model car. My way of building a model car. It will not be something that I work on all the time. I will do other episodes on other subjects, and I will build other models. I am not continually working on this 66 Malibu. This brought some criticism and misunderstandings, where I would literally have people so enraged that I wasn't constantly working on it and wanting the rest of this series to continue on, that they would threaten to write the channel off and unsubscribe. Well, I'm going to tell you this, that's not a threat that's going to shake me up. If you want to unsubscribe, by all means do. I'm going to continue on. That is why I pulled the series. I'm bringing it back for all of you. It is going to continue on, and I will work on episodes as I see fit. Could take a couple of years before it's all done, and when it's all done, you're going to have a nice whole play set to watch from beginning to end. But if you're following it and anticipating the next episode and you're trying to build the same car along with me, I'm sorry. That's not what its intentions were. I'm not going to do it all the time. I want to do it in my time as I see fit. I have other things I want to do. Please respect that. It's not about the build of this particular car. It is about the tips and information that I'm giving you. That was my intention. Now you know. Let's continue on and let's enjoy an adventure in building a model car. Hope you enjoy it. Well, hello my fellow car modelers. How you doing today? Well, thanks for coming back to another episode of An Adventure in Building a Model Car. Oh, we're moving on with this, huh? We're back on to the engine, and I know that I said we were going to do 3 parts to this engine, but this video got very long in just doing the spark plug wires. So I'm going to split up the spark plug wires, and then the next episode is going to be the carburetors and the linkage, and then we're going to be done with the engine and we can move on. I'm going to add another part, so that makes it A, B, C, 4, A, 2, 3, C. C, we'll have 4 parts. Yeah. So let's just dive into it and get going on that. And let's start wiring up that engine. Okay, kiddies, we're going to move on to wiring up this distributor. So I went ahead and got it painted to the colors that I want, and I'll tell you what I used. For the cap, to give it that XL Ignition Products look, I wanted to go with a brown cap, and so I just used some Tamiya Flat Earth XF52. For the body of the distributor, I just went with some metallizer non-buffing steel. That pretty much shapes that up, and I also just, I don't know if you can see it, but if you can see some of the detail on the hold down pins, if you can see that they are chrome, and then also the access door to get to the points to adjust them, I went ahead and just took some of the paint from my Molotow chrome pen, dabbed it onto a piece of tape, and just used some brushes and just brush stroked the paint detail for that. So that's how I got the look and the colors of my distributor. Originally I wanted to keep the nubs to kind of try to put boots on it, but it wasn't working out. Had a whole video going on that. It was a disaster. So we're going back to step 1 or 2 or 7 or something like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to whack all those off flush, and then we're going to drill into the cap where the remaining spots are that is left after we cut those nubs off. That'll give us a good guide to put all the spark plug wires in the right place, but we're still going to add the boots that I was talking about. The spark plug wire I chose to use is from a company called ProTech. They've been around a long time. If you haven't heard of them, look them up on the internet. Check out their stuff. I'll tell you, the prices are great, and but most of all, I think it's the best spark plug wire. And of course, they also have other things in photo etch and everything. The stuff is really, really good. The product is excellent. I highly recommend them. And the thing that I like about their wire is it has that opaque. In other words, you can't see through the plastic sheathing or insulation on the wire, where there were a lot of other brands over the years of ignition wire, you know, model car detailing ignition wire, that the insulation had kind of a translucent characteristics to it, and you could see the metallic wire underneath, so it gave kind of a metallic look. To me, it never looked like real spark plug wires. ProTech, excellent stuff. Another thing that I really liked about it is some of you older guys have been doing this modeling even back in the 80s. Do you remember a company called MSE Model Products? That time they had the best wire, and it looked like this stuff. And when ProTech came out with theirs, it was the first time somebody came out with a product that looked just as good as the MSE Model Products wire. So yes, I highly recommend them. They have a whole bunch of colors to choose from. We're going to go yellow because, again, we're going for that XL ignition look. So I've got my wire out of the package here, and I also have a wire insulation that is a little bit bigger than the spark plug wire that you're using. And what I have is I always keep this is some stuff I acquired years ago. Yeah, it's some nice red micro bulbs. I might have a use for those one day, but what I really got this for is the wiring was really excellent. Had a nice good size gauge, you know, electronics wire of either black or red, and I'm going to use some of that red. And let's take it out of the package here, and what we're going to do is I'm going to snip off a piece of it. And what I'm going to want is I want that insulation. It's a little bit bigger than the spark plug wire, but we're just going to use that insulation. I'll take my X-Acto blade here, and I'll just put it down, lightly pressing down on it. I don't want to go too hard. It's going to be a little tough. You want to twist it around. You just want to do a slight cut, and that should get us to where you get that thing sliced, and you just go ahead and pull that insulation right off the wire, because all you're wanting is that insulation. And I just took enough to use up again, this is going to be cut into little pieces to make the boots. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to cut off these nubs off the distributor and just get that thing a flat surface. And after I painted it, we should be able to see the round spots that are left where the pegs were, and that gives us the area and a spot to where we want to drill. It'll show us right where we need to drill. So let's go ahead and cut these off real carefully. We're going to drill each and every one of those spots out so that we have, you know, a hole to stick the distributor wire down. We got to start drilling those, and we're dealing with small little things to hold on to, and I've covered this before where it really sucks going into your finger right there. There's no other way to do this. You just got to kind of chance it and hope the heck you don't stick yourself. I start with my pin vise, and again, this is probably between a number 71 to 74, somewhere in that area. That seems to be the best size drill bit to use for drilling out holes that you want to put ignition wire in. Each one, you got to just lightly get it started. So as you can see, it just takes a lot of patience. So I got this one started. As you can see, we're going to get this one going. I'm going to go ahead and drill all these, and then we'll get back to showing you what I got going. Now I've started drilling out some of the holes. I've got 4 of them drilled, and I was really having a hard time keeping the drill bit to where it wouldn't fly off or rip down the side of the distributor. So I took, like, my little pointer here, it's got this sharp end. I went around and I poked down on each one of the areas where I want to drill, and I created a pilot hole, and that really helped drill out this distributor a lot better. So you can see we're getting it going. We've scratched it a bit and all that, but we'll go back with paint and retouch it up before we put the spark plug wire in. Okay, so we've got all the holes drilled in the distributor. That turned out really good. That's like probably one of my least favorite things to do in model car building. I hate drilling out the holes in a distributor and doing all that wiring, but boy, it sure is satisfying when you get all done. And I know that there's pre-wire distributors out there. There's some companies that produce those, and they're convenient and all that, but I personally just don't think you get the look, the realistic look, I should say. And I think when you see what I do with this is going to be a much better look. So let's get on with it. So to start off, what I usually do is I like to kind of cut out what we need is 9 pieces. You have your 8 pieces of wire that go to your cylinders, but you have the 1 that goes to the coil, so we need 9. But for the 8 that we're going to go to the cylinders, I usually would like to cut out 8 equal length pieces that are roughly a little bit longer than the engine block, because when you do that, which would be right about there, when you do that, you have plenty of wire to reach every cylinder, and you can trim it to fit at that point. It's better to have too much than not enough. So we're going to cut out 8 pieces this long, and then I'm not quite sure, I'll probably do the 9th one that long too, because I don't know where the coil is going to be placed on the car, so we're probably going to want that wire to be pretty long, and we can trim that when we get to that point. So I'll go ahead and do this. You want to watch? Okay, we'll speed it up and put some nice music on it. Here we go. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more. And we've got one more. Boom. So there's 8 right there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this one kind of long. This is going to be the 9th one. I'm going to leave this one right over there. So you guys are going to find this to be really, really neat. And it's going to be a challenge for me not to get my fingers in the way, but got the camera zoomed up so you can really see it well. This stuff is small, so bear with me here. So I'm going to cut this. We're doing the side that goes on the plug. We're going to need the boot to be a little longer. What I'm going to do is, you see my little pointer here, this is why it's good to have a little tool like this. I need to widen this hole so that the spark plug wire will fit in there. If you can't find insulation that doesn't quite work out with your spark plug wire, this is just a little bit too small, but it's the best I could find, so I got to widen it a little bit. If you've got a pointer like this that has this beveled, you know, kind of graduated from a point to being a lot thicker, this works out really good because it's tapered. As you go ahead and just stick that in there, you can kind of stretch out the end a little bit. Do not poke your fingers. That is the difficult part. Another thing to make it a little bit easier, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to strip a little bit of the insulation off the end of the spark plug wire, just to help sit into the boot a little better. You'll see what I do. Get that little piece off. Just a quick little strip off like that. Do the other side. This gives us kind of a guide pin now going into, because when you see what I'm going to do, you need these things to be really set into those boots. So for the glue, I'm going to use this quick setting Tamiya extra thin. This stuff is really fast. I used it the other day and doing some roll cage, and it worked really well. The problem with this is it's like water and it's hard to get it onto the spark plug wire. This is new for me trying this cement out. We're going to give it a shot.
And I'm just going to slide that right, oh, it's so hard to get. I'll slide that right into there.
So there we go, we got the boot on one end of the wire. Now here is the neat part. This is pretty cool. I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. You saw that I stripped the other end. Now this is going to look goofy, but wait till you see what I'm going to do. Check it out. I get this end with some glue on it. So we're basically going to curl it around and we're going to put it into the other end.
Get it up into there and put that end in right there.
And there we go. Boy, does that look ridiculous. What the heck are you going to do with that? Well, let me show you what I'm going to do with this. This is where the part gets really, really neat. Now, I know what you guys are saying. Oh, Luka, how the heck can that work out for doing spark plug wires? That's ridiculous. You got both ends going into the same boot. Aha, for right now we do. This is where it gets really neat. What you want to do is we're going to, on this side here, we're going to take out a little bit of material, kind of like a pie shape. You want to get a fairly sharp X-Acto blade. You can see I started working on it. You want to cut a pie shape out on the inside of the loop, right out of that insulation. Let's get a little more cleared out. Just halfway through. You don't want to cut all the way through the insulation because you want that still to be one piece. And now what you want to do is you take a little dab of glue and we want to just put it right into that V-cut area. See if I can get it with some tweezers. We're going to fold that thing over into an elbow and let that glue set up. So there you have it. You have yourself an angled boot. And then the advantage of going ahead and doing this whole looping technique and working with the boot being right in the middle is now this loop will hold it together in place while the glue sets up. And it's also going to give you something else, and I'm going to show you right now. So basically, now that we got the glue all set up, we've got ourselves a nice angled boot. And now you want to go to the side that is the part that goes into the head, replicating where the spark plug is. So you want to just go a little ways down. Let's get in a good position here. You want to go a little ways down from the boot because you want to have some wire, and you just cut it right there, and look what you got. And there it is, all stretched out, and you got yourself your angled boot and your stretched out wire. This end here we'll put a black boot on, and that's going to be going into your distributor. This will go into the head. That's basically the spark plug right there, so to say. That's for the spark plug hole. This little bit of wire here will get glue on it and stuck into the head. You won't even see that. That'll just hold the boot. And then from the side of the engine, you're going to see it's going to look like angled boots over your spark plug. And there you go. So to this point, we've got the distributor ready to go ahead and go into the back of the engine. And I'm not going to put the plug wires onto the distributor cap first. I'm going to put the plug wires into the head first. This is a little bit of a different way than many of you probably do it. You first wire up the distributor and then you go ahead and get everything cut to length and fit into your head. I'm going to do it a little different, and you're going to see why. At this point, I've got this distributor ready to go. I've put the coil wire on, and there you can see the little black boot. I did it the same way I did the red boots, but with just a little piece just sliding onto one end. There's no need to do that angle boot for this. We're not going to have angle boots on the distributor. They're just going to be straight boots. We'll get this mounted on the engine right now and start getting all the plug wires into the head. So we've got the distributor mounted, and now what we want to do is we want to figure out where we want to place the holes for the spark plug wires to go into to be the spark plugs. We'll take what's going to be the headers that we're going to use, and as you can see where they line up right there, the spark plugs need to be just slightly below the ports for the exhaust. So we'll remove that, and we're going to want to place them right about there, 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 and there. So I'm going to get those drilled, and we can move on to the next step. So I've got all the holes drilled, and I'm going to finish taking care of getting all of the spark plug wire angle boots done, and we're going to place them all into their positions here on the engine, and then we will start placing them into the distributor cap with the black boot. So we've gotten all the spark plugs into the spark plug holes, and the boots are all set. The reason why I need to go this way is because of these angle plug wires. If I was wanting to do any types of wire looms, photo etch wire looms, or make some out of plastic, you can't get it over the boot, so you got to get it over this end and run all your wires and go into there. So that's why I do it opposite whenever I do the angle boots onto the heads. I am not going to be using photo etched wire looms. I came up with a different idea that also gives me an opportunity to show you guys a cool technique. I'm just going to make this because it's kind of the beater street racer car. I want to get the look that the owner of this car just kind of threw the wires in there, and because he's always pulling them on and off, just kind of wraps them together with zip ties. And I'm going to show you how to get that zip tie effect here in a little bit. But before that, we're going to first get these wires into that distributor, but we need to have the black boot for the distributor end. So what I've done is, if you can see right here, I did it on the other bank, and I'm getting ready to do it on this right bank, is right here. You can see, if you can see that, I've slipped over a piece of black insulation. That's, of course, you can see that it's bigger, so it slides up and down on that. I slipped it over the wire, and that way I will cut this wire to fit to its destination over here on the distributor. Then I can seat this boot onto the distributor, and it'll give that effect. Now, one thing that I do just to make it easy to slip the insulation over the spark plug wire is, as you can see right here, I strip the ends. And what that does, that just basically gives me a little bit of a guide wire. These things are small, and boy, oh boy, it's hard, especially old guy like me. This problem, our eyes aren't what they used to be. So it's kind of like threading a needle. So this just makes it easier to slip that over the spark plug wire. Oh, this is a joyous time for me. I'm going to be upfront and blunt with all of you. My least favorite thing to do in model car building is putting spark plug wires in. It's so time consuming. I'm going to tell you, in the time that you watched, where before I got these all wired up and now has been not only hours but the next day. And I'm so glad I'm done with this. To me, this was the part where this whole build now is all downhill. And I don't mean in a bad way, I mean downhill, like it's going to go nice and fast now. I got over this, and this is a big whew moment. I am really pleased. This is not done. I just got the wires all connected into the distributor and into the heads, and I want to show that to you. And then we're going to start maneuvering them to make them look real. What I like about this particular brand of wire, you can really move it around and get it to stay in place. And what I'm going to show you what I do with that, you got to show a sense of gravity. You can't just run your wires and leave it like this, which you see it in a lot of models, and it kills the realism. You got to have stuff lay over stuff. You got to show gravity. This doesn't have much gravity to it, but in the real world, these would have weight to them and they would sag, and you got to put that in there, and that's what we're going to do. I just want to show you what I got so far. Let's show you here. You see the boots, the angular boots that we made. And just to let you know, let's take the headers. We got it to where the headers fit on there. And then you can see right there the boots on the distributor. So that's all set. It looks great. And now what we're going to work on is make it look like that these are zip tied together. And I'm going to make them, you know, sag and look like they have gravity to them. I'm going to take my tweezers here, and what I want to start doing is positioning, and you know, use your fingers of course, but I want to start kind of positioning and pushing down on the wires. And what this will do is it will give that weight that I was talking to, give it more that scale, you know, weight. You just push, like this is usually the best place to do, in between the intake and the valve cover. You kind of push down right there. That's why you want to give yourself enough slack so that you have this movement. And you see how we got that? And that just gives you a much better realistic look on this side compared to this side. You want to get this weight appearance. And you know, you can just work it down, and I'll probably tweak a little more on it, and I'll work on this side. And then we'll go ahead and start wrapping our wires as if they do it kind of on the cheap with zip ties, and we'll show you how to do that. So there, we're all finished putting all the wires down, giving it that weight, and it just looks a lot better than it did before. A lot more realistic. Let's see if I can show you kind of a frontward look off to the side. And now we're going to go ahead and do some zip ties. There is a great product by Detail Master. They have something that's just called detail wire. And you see how much thinner gauge it is than the ignition wire. And this is useful for a ton of things. I'll show you some other stuff later, but what we're going to do is we're going to use this stuff for making zip ties. How fun. Is we will start by just cutting off a piece. Let's try right here. We're just going to zip tie these two pieces together right there. Let's show you. You see how we got these two front cylinders are kind of getting really close there. We'll go ahead and zip tie that. You want to start by giving it kind of a J shape. You can see that. You see what I did? I get that into a hook is basically what we want, so we can fish it right on through. So I get it around there, and sometimes you might, you can push against it and get it to kind of turn into more of a circle and loop around there. It's like sewing. So we want it to cross around like that. You want to get it to right the area you want it to be and get it nice and tight. You want to start twisting it around. After you get it twisted a couple of times, if you can see this, I usually like to take like my duck bill or my flat needle nose. Just grab a hold of it and just start twisting it up. Make it tighter. And make sure you're going the right way and not untwist it. Here I got to change angle, so I'm going to get this twisted up and we'll move to the next step. Alright, so we've got that wire all twisted. I took it about that far out. That's all twisted together, the two pieces. It's nice and tight right here, holding that together. Let's take some scissors, little scissors here, and I'm going to trim it. You don't want to cut this all up. You want to leave about that much right where the twist ends. You want a bit hanging off to the side. You see that? We've got that zip tie look. Well, and you can see where my zip tie is, and you see that the twisted portion sticking far away like that. You want to just kind of fold it around. So if you can see right there, we've got this looped around, the wires looped around and holding the two wires together, and that twisted portion I flipped it around, and that gives the illusion of the zip tie. That portion that you zip through, it just kind of has that illusion of a zip tie. And hopefully it's so small, hopefully you're picking that up. And that is how I replicate zip ties. So we got all our zip ties on, as you can see here, and here. I got those all set. We'll give you a little spin around of this. But we've got everything wired now. We've got our boots, distributor, the boots on the distributor, and that is how old Luka Cee does it. What do you think? We'll show you. Here's a nice little side shot. Trying to keep it in the camera here so you can see. Do a nice little, trying to do as smooth do as smooth of a rotation as I can here for you. But that is what we got going. So there is the ignition wires, spark plug wires, whatever you like to call them. So there it is. We're done with that step. Next we're going to move on to putting those carburetors on and putting linkage into that, and that's all the detail we're going to do on this engine for this model. And then we'll look into griming that up, but that's for another chapter. So in the next episode, we'll be on to the carburetors. So there you go, a nice wired up engine. Hope you guys learned something, maybe picked up some new tips. Try it up on your engine. Let me know. I want to see some pictures on Model Car Hobby Headquarters group. If you're not on there, go on and subscribe. The link is down below. We got links to Mediocre Modelers group. That's just another great model group, man. There's tons of models on that one. Please check out my Teespring. Got my shirts, my mugs, my other stuff. I got a hoodie now. Check it out, and don't forget, I got more links below to other YouTube channels for you to check out that are friends and families. Please check them out. Give them a thumbs up. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. And we'll be back on the next one with the carburetors and see you real soon in the next video. This is me, Luka Cee. Keep gluing those fingers together. Keep cutting that styrene, and we'll see you in the next video. Well, hello my fellow car maulers, how you doing today? Well, here we are on to another... let me fix my glasses, look more correct here. No coffee. Trying again. Here it is. Well, hello my fellow... Well, hello my... Okay, this is it. Well, hello... I don't know what to say.
So what I want to do is I got this graduated or you know, I've got this.
So there you have it. Oh man, got that done. Almost got my block knocked off. Jeez. I'm out.